Today, we're diving into one expert's scouting report for the year 2030. We're going to break down their top 3 picks for Korea's next generation startups. These are the companies they believe are set to really define the next decade. So let's see what they've got. You know, it's the ultimate question, isn't it? If you had to place a bet on the future, where would you even start? It's not just about where the money is. It's about figuring out the huge shifts that are going to completely reshape our world. And that's exactly what our source today tries to do by looking at the next wave of innovation coming out of Korea.
So how do you make a prediction like that without just, throwing a dart at a board? Well, the author here doesn't just pick companies out of a hat. They start with a core idea that the future is really going to be shaped by 3 unstoppable global megatrends.
And here are the big 3. First, the nonstop revolution happening in healthcare. Second, that massive worldwide push for ESG and sustainability. And of course, third, the relentless digital transformation of, everything, which is now being supercharged by AI. This is the framework, the lens they use to find the companies with real staying power. All right, let's meet our first contender. This one fits perfectly into that healthcare innovation trend. Say hello to TomoCube, a deep tech startup that was born out of KAIST, which is one of Korea's absolute top-tier science and technology universities. Now, TomoCube's mission might sound simple, but believe me, it is a total game changer. For decades, if you wanted to study living cells, you pretty much had to either kill them or mess with them using chemical dyes. TomoCube wants to flip that whole paradigm on its head. And the difference here is just staggering. The old way gives you a flat, 2D snapshot of a cell that's already been altered. TomoCube's holographic imaging? Well, it's like upgrading from an old photograph to a live 3D movie, all without bothering the actors. For things like drug development and cancer research, this is a massive leap forward. And the size of the opportunity here, it's absolutely massive. This isn't some tiny niche market. We're talking about a global biotech market that's projected to be worth more than $2 trillion by 2030. That's the kind of scale we're dealing with here. And you know what? There's already a playbook for this kind of success. The author points to a company called NanoString Technologies in the US. They hit a $1 billion valuation on the NASDAQ with very similar technology. TomoCube is right on that same track, already shipping its devices to labs in the US and Europe. Okay, next up, let's look at contender number 2. This company is all about that huge ESG sustainability trend. Meet MLC, which stands for Make Life Colorful, and they are taking on one of the most polluting industries on the planet, fashion. Their mission really gets to the heart of what we call the circular economy. They're making textiles using recycled stuff, I'm talking waste plastics, even old fishy nuts, and then coloring them with eco-friendly natural dyes. It's really about making fashion sustainable right from the very beginning of the process. So why is this so important right now? Because a huge market shift is already happening. Consumers are demanding it, and powerful regulations like the EU Green Deal are forcing it. The industry is on track to get half of its materials from sustainable sources by 2030. This isn't optional anymore. It's a flat-out necessity, and that creates this massive opening for a company like MLC. And the difference compared to the old way is just wow. Traditional textile dyeing is incredibly wasteful and toxic. It uses unbelievable amounts of water and harsh chemicals. MLC's process, on the other hand, is built from the ground up to have a much, much lower environmental footprint just by changing the basic ingredients. And just like with TomoCubo, the author points to a proven success story. There's a Swedish company called RenewCell, backed by H&M, that has already shown this B2B model works. They're pulling in serious revenue by supplying the big brands. MLC is looking to do the exact same thing, but by targeting the huge fashion production centers in Asia. And that brings us to our final company. This one represents that third megatrend, AI-driven digital transformation. Let's take a look at Entertake, a startup that lives right at the intersection of AI, fashion, and beauty. So what's the problem they're solving? Oh, it's a big one. It's one of the biggest headaches for any online clothing store: returns. Returns are crazy expensive, a logistical nightmare, and they're terrible for the environment. Entertake's whole mission is to solve this problem using AI, and the economic impact is immediate and huge. They use AI to create these virtual fitting rooms so you can actually see how the clothes will look on you before you even click buy. And the result, according to the source, it leads to a 20% drop in return rates. Now that is a number that gets any retailer's attention. And the potential market here is just exploding. As e-commerce keeps growing, and as tech like AR and VR becomes more common, the virtual fitting market is projected to become a $50 billion industry by 2030. And again, the playbook for this has kind of already been written. The author compares Entertake to Perfect Corp, an AI beauty app that became a unicorn by partnering with giants like L'Oreal for their virtual makeup try-ons. Entertake is aiming to do the same thing, riding that massive global wave of K-beauty and K-fashion. So, there you have it, our three contenders. One in bioimaging, one in sustainable materials, and one in AI for e-commerce. So how does the author bring this all together? Well, they don't just pick one winner, they actually frame it as a single, diversified bet on the future. And here's the logic, and this is straight from the source. The big idea is that by investing across these three very different but incredibly powerful trends, you're creating a more resilient, future-proof portfolio. You're not just betting on one horse, you're betting on the three major forces that are reshaping our world. So this is it. This is the author's final bet, broken down into three core parts. You get a piece of the future of healthcare with TomoCube, you get a piece of the green revolution with MLC, and you get a piece of the AI-powered digital world with Entertake. Each one represents a massive and pretty much independent global trend. And that really just leaves us with one final thought. The author has built their diversified portfolio around these three huge trends. So the question for you is, if you were placing the bet on the future, where would you put your chips? On the biotech revolution, the green transition, or the AI transformation?